All right. Oh, here we go. Part 3. Yay! Part 3. Sorry it's out of 4, though. All right. So, let's look at some abolitionism. So this is another big thing that's going on mid-18th century. A lot of thoughts and concerns there. Northern free blacks are going to try to focus on social uplift. White mobs are going to attack blacks in northern cities. So, despite the fact that a lot of people don't think that black people should be enslaved, they certainly are not treating them equally. David Walker's going to write a book called Appeal. So you can see kind of the front of it right there. That is going to get a lot of people up in arms. So it is in response to the attacks. He is a free black man from North Carolina who had moved to Boston. He is self-educated. He's going to ridicule religious arguments of slaveholders that he's going to justify slave rebellion. And he warns of a slave revolt if blacks are denied justice much longer. 1830, he's going to call a national convention of free black leaders in Philadelphia. They're going to demand freedom and race equality, but they're going to refuse to endorse Walker's radical call for revolt or the traditional program of black uplift. So despite the fact that, again, people think slavery is wrong, but they aren't interested in getting involved in doing anything about it a lot of times. All right, we have Nat Turner's revolt. So he's a slave in Virginia. He teaches himself to read. He was separated from his wife by a new master, and that does happen quite a bit. Being separated from your family in one way or another. Let's see. He has a religious vision. That's my favorite thing. In August of 1831, God tells him this is his religious vision. So he's going to lead a revolt with relatives and friends. He kills 55 whites. He was eventually caught and hanged. The Virginia Assembly, though, is going to increase slave codes. It's going to make it worse. They are going to prohibit anyone from teaching slaves to read, and they're going to limit movement of black people in the state. So, kind of as a result of this unsuccessful revolt, things are going to get worse for black people in Virginia. They are going to have more restrictions placed upon them. Oh, apparently I can't stop yawning. Sorry about that. All right, the guy on the left is William Lloyd Garrison. So he's a printer in Massachusetts. He is a white guy. He founded the New England Anti-Slavery Society, and he published The Liberator. His followers are called Garrisonians, and they are super extreme. All right. He later establishes the American Anti-Slavery Society with Theodore Weld and some other abolitionists. He's going to appeal to religious people. He publishes the Bible Against Slavery. You have the Grimke sisters there, Angelina and Sarah, and I don't know which one is which, but they're raised in South Carolina, and they converted to Quakerism. So Pennsylvania is where the Quakers are, so they're going to move there, and so they will work with Garrison and Weld to publish American Slavery as it is, Testimony of 1,000 Witnesses, and that's going to sell more than 100,000 copies that year. The American Anti-Slavery Society is organized. They print thousands of pamphlets using steam-powered presses. It is a great postal campaign in 1835. They sent more than 1 million pamphlets. They utilized fugitive slaves to tell their stories, and they established the Underground Railroad to help fugitives. They petitioned Congress in 1835 to demand abolition in the District of Columbia, to end interstate slave trade, and to prohibit new slave states. They're not successful, but that's what they attempt to do. So this is an anti-slavery alphabet. So A is an abolitionist, a man who wants to free the wretched slave and give to all an equal liberty. B is a brother with a skin of somewhat darker hue, but in our Heavenly Father's sight he is as dear as you. C is the cotton field to which this injured brother is driven, when as the white man's slave he toils from early morn till even. I think it's supposed to be evening, but, D is the driver, cold and stern, who follows whip in hand to punish those who dare to rest or disobey command. So basically it's an alphabet to tell you how horrible slavery is. So, you have your free states versus your slave states. And then all those arrows are going to be routes of Underground Railroad. So You can see that there is opportunity to get out of a lot of places in the South, but not everywhere. You don't see a route in Texas. You don't see one coming from Alabama or Florida. So not everyone is going to be provided that opportunity to try and escape. I will also tell you, you always ask, why didn't they just escape? Why didn't they run away, etc., etc.? But the problem is that if you have children, for instance, children aren't going to be able to move stealthily through the woods and maybe not eat for several days. You have a pregnant wife, anything like that. So many times you do have men who are going to abandon their families to escape slavery because they couldn't have done it with their families. So, all right, let's see. The attacks on the abolitionists is a minor movement. About 10% of Northerners are going to... Oh, I'm sorry. The movement of abolitionism is a minor movement. Sorry, I'm not speaking clearly. Only about 10% of Northerners are abolitionists. So like I said, people might disagree with it, but they're really not upset enough with it to do something about it. That takes a different level. Slaveholders are going to obviously oppose and attack the movement for political, social, and economic reasons. White men and women almost universally opposed amalgamation, so basically intermarriage. These people would have heart attacks today. So if people from the 1840s came to 2018, they would not survive long. You can't imagine the society being so different. Whites in the North are going to attack churches, temperance halls, homes, and conventions of abolitionists. Race solidarity is stronger in the South, but exists in the North as well. You do have white neighborhoods and things like that. 1836, Congress is going to pass the gag rule to keep abolitionists from petitioning. So it's going to remain in place until 1844. So from 1836 to 1844, abolitionists were not allowed to say anything. And if they'd get up and petition or whatever, they could be arrested. Within the movement, activists are going to disagree. Some are going to be critical of women addressing mixed-gendered audiences and of Garrison's support for women's rights. So again, they may not think that black people should be enslaved, but they certainly don't think women should be equal. That's crazy talk. Garrison's opponents founded a new organization, the American Foreign and Anti-Slavery Society. All right, so I'm going to leave that there. That's going to be it for the abolitionists. We'll move to the women's rights movement, which a lot of the same people are involved in both. And the women's rights movement is actually going to be pushed aside as the Civil War gets closer, and abolitionists will take the place of women's rights activists. So, alrighty. We got 3 short ones in a row. Go me. Okay. So one more left. I will see you soon, speak to you soon. So good morning, afternoon, or evening.